Good morning. So we'll do this prayer to Manjushri. Lamandang Gambon Jambayang Lan Chansay Loi Kangil Jinyen Chinda Nidaranam Razawen Jinyen Dengun Jijen Sijin Yinji Tukalekam Kanda Zibe Terror Mari Mendon Duman Jise Chozo Gana Bojin Dabze Genlan Chuchu Yonde Rudra Chendu Nyemo Nyemo Leje Chadu Rudze Mari Menze Doma Nyemo Jinyen Chenze Rade Dene Najin Saje Dasen Yenden Lizo Jase Tawe Judan Judan Chenyen Jente Balim Menze Jambe Online Dev Marabazana Dev Marabazana Dev Marabazana Dev Marabazana Marabazana Dev 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 Marabazana Marabazana Dev 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 Dev Zende Jiji Charoze Alen Demo Barasa Kodon Diji Shunlo Nubai Loje Pobe No One Do Jimo Redan Jingur Nyanze Jada Kadin Zonda Majeba Balo Jinja Jinja Vinja Jindu Jima Membala Gura Dude Uzungu Wajin Bengone Janzaji Shabzu Jio Shiva Ninsara Tamje Dutu Jeja Zuzun Baranza Duzo Kongisha Zondo Emin Resar Zimbin Nombash Zimbe Zeve Zendum Barin Dukun Megin Duzinjur Jinama Gune Shirin Jiden Sumji Konjafe Tuambe Mogarbe Shabendrin Dali Yanzershon, Jenzolim Bemendo Bozer, Javan Nando Ranjun and Jedo, Senzo Beji, and then Chombarbe, Bemanjun and Dali Yanzershon, Gumburia and Devada, Domain and Cholan Jinda, Jujan and Bozo, Zalin Jinjon and Jinda Eshon. For the Varinjin Bebo, and then Gunjunga Vishazal do, Nimbidins in Baby Nanjurba. Jime Vesreja Jinda Ejon, Ridonjamba Junushinale, Ombelon Lepo Better Jendo, Dojunze Jamze Mawanjer, Mivam Jambi Anjinda Ejon, Kambidala Ribalo Vanda, and Dojit and Jemima Nolaso, Nabazada Urishinabe, Mujit in Jela Menda Ejon, Yundesanje Kundanya Naya, Gardens Anje Kunena Bigger, Savila Mishala Soande. Azonelu toba shivara shinjelo kondo juju dongi jidena deshelo manchirba kansoda jinjan bechu jinjan bembe sembaran devan thada dirsheshi namariya tamba laike danlo dan chinge dum da me kena wa gunjidanam jizamba tanje ke do sosrate jurji Manjur Doa Nankada, Yambi Sinjan Tamji, Namdul Tenji Deva, Anam Bayanda, Zopi Sanji Pupan, Burchena, Chinejam Kurasha, the Chelo, the Wachim Bishonlo, Jazachimbo, Shavalha, the Nijin Zibi. Chanjisim Bichoval and Juba, the Nutrition to send and Yamsola, you, Yamdu, Samba Sanjicho, Fujaba, and the same salaries. So, first, we generate the awakened mind. The Bodhicaryāvatāra in this way. I'm going to listen and study this Mahayana scripture composed by Shantideva, the way of Bodhisattva's life. What to say, for the sake of all the motherly sentient beings and in order to lead them to complete enlightenment. And for this purpose, I'm going to study this and I'm going to implement it with that kind of mind or the intention, listen this Dharma teaching, and then as well as additional that while listening Dharma teachings, and listen carefully in an excellent way and try to implement it on both the meaning as well as the words. The actual teaching we are studying here is the way of Bodhisattva's life, which contains the 10th chapter with the 4th theme. So first two we already studied. First two theme, or the until 8th chapter we completed, studied, and at the moment chapter wise we are here in the 9th chapter, and then the theme wise we are here at the 3rd theme, which is to how to develop this Mahayana spiritual training or the Bodhicitta, and ultimately or the until what stage that one could develop this path or the Bodhicitta. To develop that, and it requires this diligence and meditative concentrations and wisdom. So among these three things, that two of them are how to cultivate, we studied already. Now here how to develop or cultivate, or how to develop, improve that our wisdom, that so we can have the conviction with our path, and how we can have that conviction, to develop that conviction in this 9th chapter, the wisdom chapter, which is also required in order to develop fully ripened bodhicitta. So the bodhicitta ultimately has these two aspects, needs to complete the aspect of compassion and aspect of wisdom, or the aspect of seeing the thing as it is, or the seeing the things as it is of compassionate itself, compassionate sense itself. So the union or the combination of this, then it becomes fully complete genuine bodhicitta. And otherwise, then maybe sometimes it only becomes the one-sided, like just the altruism side aspect is completed, but the wisdom side is incomplete. Then although it is kind of like a very powerful, beneficial, but it's still lacking the one aspect which transfer our training, our path into the course of enlightenment. So therefore, we need to develop this, that the, what to say, the wisdom aspect, that the seeing the things as it is. So which can help us to, how to say, lay it low and eradicate our attachment, our grasping. So altruism itself can help us to kind of like avoid many other kind of like what you call the emotions, or many other concepts, and especially that's obviously ordinary concept and the negative concept and neutral concept, and even among the positive concept, it also can be lay it low and eradicate many of those concepts, but it's still that the altruism or the compassion itself is also still under the concept. So to go beyond, then we need to develop this wisdom to able to see the compassionate its own true face. So while we having compassion, but at the same time we are not grasping or attaching or some sort of like a feeling proud to within one's compassion, and so on. So, and then also to the other phenomena as well. So the kind of like when we're able to see things as it is, then we can understand there's no really point for me to grasp all these things. So to develop this wisdom, and then this Shantideva, this 9th chapter, and he's kind of like guiding us how to develop this all step by steps from this chapter. So the chapter 1 is the short brief that why we need to cultivate the wisdom, and to end up, or to eradicate from its root of the suffering together with its cause and condition, and complete the wisdom is necessary. Without wisdom cannot be eradicated from its root. So that's very brief. And then to how to develop the wisdom, then from the next stanza, second stanza onward, guide and introducing. So as we learned yesterday, that all the phenomena, and including samsaric and nirvana. So whatsoever phenomena are there can be summarized into these two categories. Either it is relative or ultimate. And then from the highest middle way school point of view, and where they identified as the ultimate and relatives. So this distinguish as well as the entity of ultimate and relatives. And that's how we studied yesterday. And then other than the highest middle way schools view about this true relative and ultimate, and other than that, the other religious as well as the common run of people, how they viewing about this true truth, then it is saying from this that from the 3rd chapter, in light of this, within the world, two kinds of people are observed: those with the yogi insight and the common run of people. In this regard, the views of the ordinary folk are undermined by yogis who themselves are in the world, and within whose rank the lower in degree of insight are confuted by the highers. So till this is where we are studying. So this 1.5 stanza actually Shantideva introducing the rest of the other class, other schools, and including the mundane, the common lay persons, how they view the phenomena, how they viewing the phenomena. That the common run of people, that, but how to say, to understand that, first we need to understand that there are two types of common run of people. One with one type of person which is influenced by religious background, and other where doesn't influence by religious background. Means, in short, we also used to say believer and non-believer. That also could be understood. So now, but non-believer and all Buddhism also can include into the non-believer categories, isn't it? Yeah. So that is, I think, not literally you can take it, but yes, this is what it means. So Buddhism is actually not a non-believer. Buddhism is believer, but not believing in God greater. Yes, it doesn't make we are not non-believer. We believe in karma. We believe in triple gem. we believe in emptiness, we believe in Four Noble Truth, and we believe in these two truths, the relatives and ultimate. So anyway, so that common run of people, I think this is better to understand that there are two types of common run of people. The first, which is influenced by religious background, and where other not influenced by religious background. So that the people who are not influenced by religious background, but still they kind of like they believe or they think that self is kind of like a solid, and mind is kind of like a permanent, that yesterday's my mind and today's my mind is the same mind, and yesterday Tugudawa and then today's Tugudawa is the same Tugudawa, kind of like this I, that where we labeled on this 5 aggregates, is something we don't think as just a label or just a name, but it is solid. I is exist. So, and then that I is also like kind of like a truth. It is the same thing. We believe that it is that as it is, that we are seeing and we are understanding the as it is. And then this is kind of like our common run of people's the highest wisdom, that we are convicted with it. That is our wisdom. And then where the influenced by religious background, then yes, absolutely. Then there are some sort of like saying they believing in some God is exist. Though those or the one, maybe just one God, not those, just one or those. However, they are controlling all this phenomena, kind of like a playing game. That we are like cards. They are throwing, kind of like believing in that way. But particular, those are those type of persons that the way how we believe is because of the influence by the religious background, such as I told you yesterday. So those 3 types of religious, or we can consider as a common run of people with the influence by religious background. And then when it is talking from the yogi inside, then within a yogi inside, and there's a 4 divisions within a yogi inside. So those 4 divisions are actually that, as we call that, Sharvakas and Swatantrika and mind only school and middle way school itself. So these are the 4 schools, or normally we use schools, right? 4 schools are considering as a yogi insight. And this yogi insight, let me tell you so that the Shantideva actually here, it's talking about undermining, right? Undermining. So this Sharvakas in their kind of like the yogi insight, they are kind of like one way I told you yesterday, which is considering the person who endowed with the shamatha and vipassana qualities. This is a little bit talking from the really high. And then to understand a little bit better the yogi insight, we can also take it as the person who try to understand everything according to rational reason. Without reason, not kind of like believing in it. So that they are believing with the rational reason. So they want to find out some reasons why all these phenomena exist in this way. So investigating actually. So this common run of people, there are not much investigations. So we just flow with whatever we saw, whatever we seen, whatever tangible, it is exists, whatever not tangible, it is not exist. Very simple, without any investigating why it is and how it is possible or not, something we don't investigate anyway. So that way we can understand the yogi insight means the person, those type of person who kind of like have an interested in understand all the phenomena with a scrutinize. How to say scrutinize? With a scrutinize? Yeah, with a scrutinize through the investigations. So the Sharvakayanas, now first yogi insight, the lowest one is the Sharvakayanas. So the Sharvakayanas, they don't believe as the common run of people believe. So common run of people believe self is exist, and also mind is kind of like a permanent. It permanent does not mean that the mind. It does not mean we don't understand the mind is not changing. Our way of understanding mind changing is very raw, very rough. Compare with their way of understanding the mind. So that's why it is saying that the common run of people considering mind is like some sort of like permanent, that yesterday's mind and today's mind and the same mind, and I is forever exist, kind of like from the childhood birth to the end of the death, and even further, maybe some believe even further, or some religious influence, they believe even further. Soul will never going to change. Soul will forever remain there. That kind of belief is there. These are all religious influence belief. So where the Sharvakayanas does not believe like that, and also Sharvakayana does not believe there is somebody who is called God and creating everything. So that's not their belief. And then yet all these phenomena are perceiving as how common run of people perceive, and Sharvakayana practitioner also perceiving all these phenomena. So now those Sharvakayanas' point of view, how they're describing now this phenomena. If you don't describe it as a common run of people's view or way of viewing the phenomena, then from your point of view, how you're describing all those phenomena, then they are kind of like I will tell you only the main point, the conclusion point, that they don't believe in these random and somebody created as common run of people do. Rather than that, they kind of like they confuting this with the logic understanding that, for instance, that for common run of people, we feel I is some sort of like a exist, and I is some sort of like a not just label, not just name, but it is actual exist. Where Sharvakayana described about I, and they describe I is labeled to the combination of these five aggregated. Means I itself is not exist. It is just a name. That's what they believe. And their belief and our common run of people believe. Now from there, it becomes difference. So they believe that these five aggregates, what we have, form how to say, form and feeling and notion, right? Form, feeling, notion, and then what? What is the fourth one? Form, feeling, notion. Fifth one is consciousness, right? What do you call it? That fourth aggregate. Anyway, so this kind of 5 aggregate that where we labeled as an I. It is just a label. It is just a name. And that itself is illusion. That's what it becomes different viewing the phenomena than the common run of people versus them. And then, but now they need to describe how these phenomena are happening then. If there's a no I, if there's a no God creating, if there's a kind of like a, but it's still appearing all these phenomena. And then through their thorough investigation, they come into this conclusion. They come into these conclusions that they view all the growth level of things are relative. And then the all the growth level of phenomena has two types, all the growth of phenomena. And that's name and these kind of like a, what do you call it? Naming, naming. So for instance, like Ani, Yangchen, like Anna, and Tukudawa, and so on. These are just kind of like a, what we call it. It is just a name, even not really exist in phenomena. But what really exists phenomena, it has two different phenomena within that, which is the form phenomena and then the conscious level of phenomena. So the form phenomena and conscious phenomena, that phenomena can be summarized into this two. So the form phenomena, all those growth form phenomena, it's considering as a relative truth, relative. And then the likewise, all the growth consciousness are like a eye consciousness and ear consciousness, and they talk until 6, not 8, like ear consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, right? Feeling, body consciousness, and then the mind. And these 6 are all growth consciousness. And these are all categorized into the relative truth. These are all relative truth because these all, when you kind of like through our investigation, when we analyze, then it can be separated apart. When it can be separated, as long as it can be separated as a part, and it's all kind of like a false, vain relatives. And when it reached to the sudden level, when we really go to the deep, and then there were some part which cannot separate anymore. And that is now ultimate truth. That is now, how to say, in a form, there is a partless atom level. And then in the conscious, there is a kind of like a partless, what do you call it? Partless conscious level. I don't know how to say this. The indivisible moment of consciousness. Yeah, the indivisible moment of consciousness. Till that, through our logic, through our intellect, when we investigate, it all becomes false. Everything becomes false. It is just labeled. this all becomes, as long as it can proved by our intellect, the force, weighing, it's all belongs to relative. And there will going to be reached a certain level from when you approach, when you reach there, no more you can indivise. And that is the conscious moment of the conscious. It is called the ultimate truth. And now they don't want to believe something greater outside, but they believe all conscious is created from this, all the form created from this. So this is now really coming like a scientific way, you know. So to create this kind of innate thing, right? It's called innate. Innate things must have some sources of innate. Innate will create innate, none of others. Conscious will create conscious, not others. So that's why this Sarvakayanas, they come into this conclusion. These are the two things, are the kind of like then the creator, creating all this growth level of conscious as well as the forms. From the form point of view, from the form side, they go deep down until the partless atom. Partless atom is ultimate truth, and it is remain there. It cannot destroy. It will going to remain there forever. Likewise, the indivisible moment of consciousness cannot destroy it. And which is now, it is talking about so subtle level, even the macros, what would you call it, the Microsoft. So these kind of things, even hard to perceive this, where is the macroscope, something like that. So this is now that this moment, indivisible moment of consciousness, that we, to understand that it is introducing to understand the, what do you call it? We call in Tibetan the kechigma. Kechigma means the momentary. Yeah, I think momentary there. That's how they translating. So the momentary can go down really, how to say, deep down. For instance, like this, one snap. This is one moment. This one moment, within a one moment of snap, actually they count. There is a way of counting. Within that one snap, there are 62 or 64 moment is there. That's kind of way of counting is there. So that's how it goes very deep, tiny, very subtle in deep there. Anyhow, so kind of like the Sarvakayanas believes these two are the creating all the gross level. For instance, now here it is saying, so this cup is relative. From Sarvaka's point of view, this is relative. Why? If you ask why to them, it is relative, then they will say, if you destroy this, if you make it part, right, the concept of cup will going to demolish, will going to fade. Concept of cup will going to fade. It will not going to remain longer, which means this is relative. And then now again this, the part, if you again make it separate, and it goes very tiny, and it can goes until the partless atom. So that partless atom cannot be separated now. partless atom, the word itself telling us it cannot separate. It is partless. So something partless, how you will going to separate? To separate, there should be some part, isn't it? And without having any part, what to separate? There's nothing to separate. So that's where it goes like a partless atom. And then the indivisible moment of consciousness. These are the two very deep level of form and consciousness, from where all the growth, form, and consciousness will going to pop up or the create. So that this, I think, they are kind of like why they are concluding with this too needs to be a ultimate truth. It is because their worry is, if this too is unexist, then all this phenomena cannot appear. That's why they must need to keep that view, or there should be some resources for all this phenomena as we see. This all what we see cannot reverse, cannot say that, oh, we does not see. We are seeing it, it's very obvious. So how it is all that appearance are coming, where it's coming from, then through their investigation, they come into this conclusion. So, finally, these are all growth are created from this two partless atom. This two partless atom. So this Shepa Kejik Chame, it's called the indivisible moment of conscious, create all the conscious, and then this partless atom creates all the form, all the outer, right? Other than consciousness, all the form. That's what they believe in. And this same belief, Swatantrikayanas also believe the same way. From this main point of view, their Swatantrikayana and Sharvaskayana is, from this point of view, their view is same, not a different. And the difference between these two, from the little, from the relative levels, then there are many different ways of describing the things. And then the Swatantrikayana is similar as the Sharvakas at this point. So this Sharvakas and Swatantrikayanas, Swatantrikas view, it is kind of like a confuting by this mind-only schools. So the mind-only schools, they don't believe in this form exist. So they don't believe in this form exist. Without, to create a form, not necessarily we need some sort of like a very tiny partless atom form should be exist in order to create a form. So they don't believe that. So to prove that, they use this kind of example. For instance, that in a dream, we see forms. So where those forms, who created these forms? These forms are not created from this partless atom. And all these forms which we are perceiving in our dream is created by consciousness, created by mind. So therefore, that it is not necessarily, although we are seeing the form appearance, the form exists as in a solid way. It is all projection of your mental. That's how they goes. And to goes there, they also, kind of like the confuting the Sharvakas, their point of view, those where they considering ultimate truth is, according to mind-only school, becomes relatives, still relatives. So, for instance, the common run of people's point of view, their common run of people's view, the ultimate self and God. And this all, from the Sharvakas practitioner point of view, it's all becomes relatives, not the ultimate. And ultimate is this truth. And then now when the mind-only school looks down to the Sharvakas view, and then still their ultimate view is still relatives, not ultimate yet. And likewise, the mind-only schools, the ultimate from the middle way school point of view, it proving as a relatives, not ultimate yet. So that's how confuting when higher are, what do you say, the lower in degree of insight are confuted by the highers. That's how it's kind of like a confuting. So the mind-only schools, that what they believe is just like that, as I told you earlier. Whatever the phenomena exist in out there, regardless of samsaric nirvana whatsoever, it is all projection of mind. It is only mind exists. Other than that, all are just projection. It is not vain, false, relative. But within a mind, also they don't say every mind is kind of like a exist, but they say like this, the mind, what do you call it, that name? All appearance are the mind itself appear, just like a dream. And they will say innate clarity of self. Innate clarity of self is the ultimate truth. It's the ultimate. Innate clarity of self. You understand? What does it mean? Innate clarity of self. Confusing?
No. Listening to the English words, and innate clarity of self. Innate means natural, something that's natural to it. Self clarity means it's self seeing or self-knowing.
Yeah, that's exactly we call.
But I'm having an inner argument with that.
Consciousness, they call like nitong shepa rang ri rang sao. Nitong shepa rang ri rang sao, the free of dualistic mind, free of dualistic mind, clarity, free of dualistic mind, what to say? Free of dualistic mind, nitong sheba, rangrik rangsal, clarity of self, self-clarity.
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 Self-knowing.
Why they worry? Okay, so the reason why they worry that it should be the ultimate, because if there is not even exist this innate clarity of self, then who is the one describing all these things?
Yes.
So since we have all this description, there should be some source that understands all these things. So there should be some consciousness which understands itself clear from there, and then projecting all these phenomena. If there's a nothing, so anyway, so the point is that even this mind-only schools not being able to accept completely emptiness. Emptiness could be the source of phenomena. Not being able to accept that. this, since all these projection phenomena are appearing, there must be some reason there. Without any reason, there cannot be. And then that reason, emptiness could not be that reason, because it is emptiness.
But they don't understand it.
Yeah, that's why they say, they believe that there should be some resources out there. Otherwise, all this projection, who is projecting? Who is projecting?
So it's still looking for
Yeah. For instance, like this projection, right? The projection and the what do you call it? The movie we play. And yes, these all are forms, vain, whatever appearance on the wall, on the screen. But this all are vain and false, yet where it is coming from, there should be something. It's projecting. If there's a nothing projecting, it cannot be appear. That's their concern. That's their worry. So therefore, they feel like that. In order to have all this projection, projector needs to be exist. Without existing of projector, all this projection cannot be appear. So projector and projection.
Which kind of means that the projector
Mm-hmm.
is really, really screwed up, really defiled, because what it's projecting,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like, is defilement. So who's projecting the projector?
That's what they're saying.
Oh,
That's why it's saying innate clarity of self.
but there is no self.
No. Innate clarity of self. It's not talking about the I. It's not talking about self-I. This self is not refers to I. It's not talking about the I. From their point of view, it's not talking about I. Yeah. Anyhow, from the Madhyamika point of view, it becomes still false. But from their point of view, and they don't call this is self. This is I, not I. Here, the self is not understood as a I. Even in Tibetan words, we used to say Rangrik Rangsal. Rangrik Rangsal means that mind. Okay, this is kind of like this. It is saying like this. Rangrik Rangsal, you know. I understand this is a cup, right? Mm-hmm. This my eye consciousness see this, and this eye consciousness giving some message to my mind, and my mind projecting and kind of labeling this as a cup. And who understood that my mind is labeling? And there is one innate clarity of self inside. That understands, that mind understood this as a cup. Mm-hmm. If that innate clarity of self not exist, then they worry all these projections cannot be projected. That's their worry anyway. So that's the mind only schools. They don't believe in self exist, right? I, self. And then they don't believe in all those common run of people's they view.
Is the I you refer to a solid I?
The common run of people's point of view, that when we talk about the I, we talk about the I.
Body.
Yes, no, not body. I, me, Tugudawa, yes. Tugudawa identity is exist. Mm-hmm. And where Sarvakayana is pointing out, this is just an identity. It does not exist. It is just a label. Mm. From there, it already self-I solid is breakdown from the Sarvaka's kind of like a logic. Mm-hmm. And then now Sarvaka's, they are coming down to the, but anyhow, this partless atom and then indivisible moment of consciousness should exist. Otherwise, this all outer phenomena, the forms can't appear without its source. Consciousness cannot appear without its source, right? And where it comes to the mind-only school, that mind-only school is that ultimately mind itself is only exist. Even form is not exist. Where Sarvakayana believes form is exist. Form exists. And this mind-only school does not believe that form is exist. Form is just a projection of mind. And if form is not exist, how, if we raise question to them, if form is not exist, how it is tangible, how these things that it's solid that we cannot, how to say? Penetrate. And then they will answer this. It is just like in a dream. You see the house, you cannot go out, you cannot penetrate that wall either. But that wall is not solid, but it's still in your dream. You feel this is solid, so you stuck there. Just like this in a real day time. And we feel this is solid. That concept preventing us to penetrate. So the kind of like a point here that mind-only school, what it is saying is that to have an appearance of form, not necessarily it has to be some sources of form itself. And mental can create the form. So therefore, everything is coming conclusion, it comes to the mind. But the mind should exist. That should exist. Otherwise, the projector is disappearing. If projector is disappeared, how this all projection can happen? So that's their worry. That's their worry. So they are not going to give up this view that they will view this projector is still exist. It is kind of like they don't really call solid, but it is solid. The projector will remain solid. Projector cannot, projector cannot be destroyed through our intelligence. So that kind of, if projector itself, how to say, separated or destroyed by our intellectual, then who is projecting all this appearance, that what we are seeing really and what we are experiencing at the moment? Somehow still their kind of like a weakness is something that they are unable to accept. They came into that far, actually. These are all getting closer and closer to the truth. Closer and closer to the truth. First, solid I exist. That is confuted by the Shavaka's view that this is just a level. It is not necessary to exist, even though we feel. But how to say, can all the phenomena produce, but can produce by these two atoms? And then later, mind-only school saying, no, it is not necessary to produce the form. There should be some form. Without form, still can be produced the phenomena, form phenomena. Still can produce the form phenomena. It's not contradicting. It is not something necessary, needed. So therefore, in a reality, and this form is not exist at all. Even the atom is not exist. These are all just force weighing. But this innate clarity of self, or other way we call like the mind which is free from dualistic. Mind which free from dualistic is exist. Mind which free from dualistic innate clarity of self is exist. It should be exist there. Otherwise, we will going to lose all the source of phenomena. That's their worry anyway. So from the mind only school's view, and this is ultimate truth. Other than this, vast of other relatives, false, vain, relative truth. It is only truth from the relative way, relative point of view, not the ultimate point of view. Ultimate point of view is the only truth is this one, the innate clarity of, innate clarity of self, which is the mind free from dualistic. That's what they call self. That is exist. So, but now from this, so that these are their kind of like those yogi insight, and their view different in the viewing to the phenomena has a different level from the yogi insight. Within a yogi insight, Sharvakayanas and Swatantrika and mind only school, and then the Madhyamika, middle way school, right? Madhyamika school. Madhyamika school, as we described how they perceive as a phenomena earlier, the second stanza, second two lines. The ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. For intellect, it is said to be the relatives. That's what middle ways view, which means now, isn't it that becomes like this, the mind only school saying this, mind which is free from dualistic, innate clarity of self, innate clarity of self, still it comes within an intellect, understand? So therefore, from the middle view point of view, it is still belongs to relative, not the ultimate yet.
But it says it's non-dualistic.
That's what they say. They say, why they say it is non-dualistic, it is because of kind of like there's no dual. In order to have a dual, they need to accept this, the subject. They don't accept subject, but not subject, object. They don't accept object, only subject. So the noun is one, become one, non-dual. That's where they call non-dual. Not really completed yet, but they call this is non-dual because it doesn't have an object. Dual means two, object and subject, right? So object and subject. And when we accept object and subject working each other, that concept becomes dualistic concept.
What is the true undual? What is the true undual? Like we normally talk about. True
non-dual. Undual. Don't say undual, non-dual. Yeah. True. Yeah, true non-dual has to free this subject only exist as well. So actually this is what it is going to talk, the Madhyamika's view. What is true non-dual is this. The ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. That is true non-dual.
Subject still belongs to intellect. Intellect. Subject.
Yeah, it's still within the reach of intellect, right? You can understand that through the intellectual understand that. Yeah, these are very make sense with our common view. Yeah, it should be, yes. So if there's a no something there, I understand myself, how I am expressing, how I am seeing.
So anything I can understand is dualist, basically.
Yeah. One way we can say that. Okay, so that's how now it is saying the lower in degree of insight are confuted by the higher. And now from here, what Shantideva was really try to introduce is that now he is kind of like what to say. That what he viewed as the ultimate and relative, to that now some kind of like the contradiction from the common run of people, and then this Sharvakas and Swatantrikas and mind only schools, how they will going to debate. And then he's clarifying, answering and clarifying their debate from here. So he said it his view, right? He said it his view. He said, okay, so everything, whatever could reach by intellect, it's relative. It's not ultimate yet. Ultimate is not within the reach of intellect. That's what we need to understand as the ultimate. So now his view and their view is contradicting. So their view of the common run of people's view, absolutely, is very easy to understand. It is conflicting that self is within the reach of intellect, and mind permanence and so on. This all things are exist is within the reach of intellect. So we common run of people feel this is it. This is as it is. This should be the ultimate, because this is what I'm seeing. This is what I am experiencing. This is as it is. But Shantideva was saying, no, that what you're perceiving is not as it is yet, because it is all within the reach of intellect. Ultimate is beyond the reach of intellect. And then also Sharvakas, and this partless atom and the indivisible moment of conscious, all these are within the reach of intellect. And even including the mind-only school's view that existence of innate clarity of self, it is still within the reach of intellect. So this Madhyamikas view and their view is now become like completely two different view. And now Shantideva's from here kind of like trying to prevent or avoid their debate from step by step, their debate, the common run of people's debate, how they were going to debate with the Madhyamikas yogi insight, and then Sharvakas, mind-only schools, Sharvakas and Swatantrikas, and then mind-only schools. Orderly, kind of like avoiding or preventing accuse. Preventing accuse or avoiding accuse. What to say? Avoiding accuse? Confute, I think. How confute to common run of people and avoid debate. I think from this now stanza,
He's
half.
confrontation.
Huh?
He seems to be avoiding confrontation. He's just cutting it off.
So the fourth stanza, half fourth stanza and fifth stanza. So another 1.5 stanza. It is the Kandula Shantideva was talking about within this 1.5 stanza, how confute to common run of people and avoid their debate. All right. So how confute to their view that which they believe this is a kind of like a solid exist, right? Solid existence of whatever we perceiving. And then that's the kind of like a proving with this logic. Niga yani debi base, that's one. Debi tundu majechen, jiden pai ngwe tongshin, yanda nidwan tosheji, yumatabur mimbe dir najur padan jiden zeus. Which is like by means of the examples that the yogis and the worldly both accept. And for the sake of the result, analyze is left aside. When ordinary folk perceive phenomena, they look on them as real and not illusory. This then is the subject of debate where ordinary and yogi differs. So actually, the first line, by means of the examples that the yogis and the worldly both accept, this is the logic, this is the answer. This is how that Shantideva was trying to confute to the common run of people and avoid their debate. Avoid their debate is maybe the next line, debate and the magichir, and for the sake of the result, analyzed is left aside. So, okay, now here, these are very shortened words he used. That's why this chapter become a little bit hard to observe sometime. And the Nigayani Debi means that both, right? Both accept. Here in, actually the translator wrote it this very clear that yogis and the worldly both accept. Actually in Tibetan word here, where Shantideva wrote, there's no explanation of yogis and worldly, the common run of people. It just say both accept. We can use example as a both accepted. Both accepted example. Through the both accepted example, we can confute them that way they perceive can be wrong. Can be wrong. That's how confuting, in very short. So Shantideva here confuting in this way, that what does it mean? That by the means of example that the yogis and the worldly both accept, which means although this common run of people, the worldly, right? Worldly people, common run of people. Here now they use another word, like worldly, right? So sometimes if it is used the same name again and again, it becomes more clear, isn't it? Yeah, right? Common run of people. Here now they use worldly, right? Okay, same thing, okay? Just to understand this two is saying same thing. So even we are common run of people or the worldly, but such as a dream, mirage, and reflecting on the mirror, right? Reflection in the mirror and blurry, right? Blurry, it's blurry. And then also that you see sometimes when sun is too bright and heat, right?
Mirage.
And you see like a water
It's mirage.
mirage, right? This is just projection. It appears, but even from the common run of people's perspective, they don't believe this is exist, isn't it? Isn't it? And we dream and we see the mirage and we see our own body reflection in the mirror. These phenomena we don't feel as exist. So this is what they're using. They're saying that by the means of the example that yogis and the worldly both accept, using those example which okay, absolutely the middle way school practitioner or whatsoever we call the middle way school person also accept these are vain, these are fake dreams. Who even the common run of people not going to say this is exist. So where yogi, absolutely, they will also say it does not exist. So both accepting, the both party accepting that, the dream, mirage, and so on, both party accepting it is just a false appearance, not exist. So these example can be used as an example to prove, to confute to the common run of people what you feel exist and what you feel, what you see, those phenomena and what you feel exist. It is just like that. In a dream, we really see all the things, and within that dream, we really feel that is solid exist there. And that we common run people also accept. Yes, this is truth. In my dream, I perceive those phenomena, and also I feel these are solid exist there. Yes, I accept. And now this example, this yogi inside, the middle way yogi, they're using as a what do you call example to prove rest of the my perception and rest of the my grasping the solid exist is similar like this. That's how, in very short confuting, this is what it called confute. Where now common run of people, worldly people like us, to prove something, we even not going to able to find a one single example which appears and which which appears and which solid exist. We how to say now this? Nayan number to be maybe the palpe tavi tendam yang kunjole madebe palpe nanjal pala 2 minutes chulo kamba was. There are example exist that mirage and dreams and so on, which can appear but not really exist. Where that kind of example, the yogi can give to the common run of people, which is common run people they themselves accept is a false. Where now you do not have any example that I can accept as this. You understand? This is complicated.
It is complicated, isn't it? It's twists in English.
Twist, yeah, twist. And there's no example that you can tell me, and then how to say? There's no example you can give me that both of us accepting. Both of us accepting appears at the same time solid. Where I have an example, appears, yet it's not solid. And that you accept, not only me, you also accept that. Now you cannot provide me, give me that example, even a one example that appears at the same time solid, which I can also accept. So that's how they were refuting their argument. Refuting. Confute and refute. Refuting. And when that say, this is all like a dream, mirage. Now this they were really trying to telling them that what I am seeing right now, what I am eating right now, what I am sleeping, working, everything is just like a mirage. When we say that, yes, this is definitely the question the common run of people definitely going to raise it, which is the second one. And for the sake of the result, analyze is left aside. Which means now, when we say that, this doubt can arise. So since everything is like mirage, dream, blurry, right? And reflection on the mirror, not truly exist, then why I have to practice Dharma? Why I have to do something now? Why I have to work hard for my survival? We immediately raise this concern. When someone's, even this is question we again raise when we talk about the emptiness, like a Heart Sutra and so on. Well, there's a no form, no sound, and then no path, right? No suffering, no cause of suffering, no path, no cessation. So why should I practice?
Because you're still dreaming. You still think it's true.
Yeah, in short, that is the answer. Yeah, in short, that is the answer. That's why it is saying, and for the sake of the result, analyze is left aside. This is what they translate, yeah. So this good and bad, pleasant and unpleasant, and so on, these all fruition, the result, this all fruition or result can be produced, although it is mirage, although it is dream. It is worth to even to avoid the suffering in a dream. That's why practicing or training in a path will not going to become like a useless. Although it is mirage not contradict you to practice. you can achieve mirage-like happiness, and you can also achieve mirage-like a suffering. So mirage-like a suffering is exist, mirage-like a happiness is exist. So you practice in a path to achieve mirage like a pleasant and to avoid mirage like a suffering. It is still worth to practice. It is still reason is going to be there, although it is proven and it is mirage. Although it is mirage. But still, it does not make us useless of engaging into positive activity, useless of engaging into the spiritual path. Because that fruition from this mirage like a cause, and they will going to produce the mirage like a fruition. So those mirage like a fruition that we can experience in a mirage way. So therefore, it is like avoiding their debate. So this is kind of like a first line is the first line that by means of the example that yogis and both worldly both accept, it's confuting their view upon existing of phenomena and existing of I and existed of mind and so on. And when we confute that and they raise this question, if everything like a dream, mirage, not exist, why we should practice? That's the debate they're raising. Why we should practice then? It is all like a dream, just let it be. It will go by itself.
Why bother to drink?
Why it will go by itself? Or mirage, it will going to destroy fate it by itself. Then, here Shandadeva was saying, this mirage will not just going to go away until you hold that grasping of existence of phenomena. Yeah, till that, this mirage like a fruition of pleasant and unpleasant, good and bad, will going to produce. So for this purpose, as long as you have this grasping of existence of phenomena, till that it is worth to avoid, I would say, non-virtuous, and then the worth to engage into positive activities. So when they, how to say, that's how avoiding their debate. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. David and the Maje chairs, when ordinary folk perceive phenomena, they look on them as real. This is now it's saying. Yeah, we look as a real and not a illusory. We never accept this is illusory. We don't accept that what we are seeing right now, this cup is real, not illusory. And this water I drink is also real water, not illusory. Yeah, so that's what the common run of people have this concept about phenomena. We look on whatever we perceive phenomena, we look on them as real, not illusory. That, this one then is the subject of debate where ordinary and yogi differs. So where this yogi, which here with yogi is the middle way, what do you call that? Middle way school practitioner. The middle way school practitioner, the way yogi middle way school practitioner
So that's,
even though they are using all these phenomena, at the same time, they also try to maintain that the illusoriness of phenomena. You know, the purpose of all this phenomena does same thing to those yogis, how it does to us. This water we drink with the sense of real, it removes the real thirst. And where yogi, they perceive this water as illusory, and they drink this illusory water, and this illusory thirsty will remove. The same. This is so interesting. It is from the phenomena point of view, what phenomena works, what phenomena does. It does to me as well as it does to the yogi, same way.
so it's their view.
Same way.
It's just the concept.
Now different. Now different. What is the difference between this yogi drinking this water with the sense of illusory? Means actually here illusory means actually what it is really saying is that without grasping, me drinking water and solid water, I drinking, that kind of grasping they do not hold. Without holding that grasping, but still they do same as we do. They does everything same as we does. And whatever phenomena benefit us, phenomena benefit them as well. When they look phenomena as an illusory, and they don't lose the benefit of getting benefit from the phenomena. You see, that's the now advantage now. What advantage is there? The special advantage is they will not going to restore the karma by doing all these things, where we store the karma by doing all this. That's the advantage now. That's the advantage of doing things without attachment and doing things with the attach. What's say? The advantage of this is the advantage that they have doing things without attachment. Where we have this disadvantage of restoring karma to experience again in the future. That this is disadvantage. This disadvantage we storage is because we drank this water with the sense of attachment. Now look, isn't it interesting? That's what it's saying. Where ordinary and yogi, okay, subject of debate, where ordinary and yogis differ. And then even if we have a less attachment, and that less attachment will going to reduce the power of that karma. For instance, let's say, if I drink this water with the full of 100% attachment, I storage karma 100%. If I drink this water kind of like a mixture of my attachment and disattachment. Disattachment?
Renunciation.
Grasping and non-grasping, kind of like a mixing. And then my storage of karma is also like it reduces its percentage. And when I able to drink this water without any grasping, I can remove my thirst. At the same time, I don't have to storage the karma for the future reference.
You're illusionary thirst.
Huh?
You're illusionary thirst.
Yeah, that's okay.
You would have to have no clinging to the sensation of thirst.
So
Sorry.
this is again, sensational is again kind of like a how to differ this. Feeling. Okay, now it becomes a little complicated. Feeling thirsty and kind of like a feeling thirsty can be kind of how to say feeling thirsty can be felt. Therefore, drink water for that, remove that thirsty feeling. But it is unnecessary for me to grasp that this feeling is solid exist. This feeling is solid exist. That is unnecessary, but normally the common run of people, that kind of wisdom is not there. That kind of intellectual is not there to differentiate it between. That's why we do not have this intellect to different this. The feeling is exist. I can feel thirsty, but the thirsty itself is not really solid exist. Dividing that kind of sense, the intelligent is missing in us. We don't feel that intelligence is needed either. No, normally we don't feel that intelligence is needed. Why I need to feel that thirst does not exist? I don't have to I don't have to understand that to remove my thirst. Yeah. So now, common run of people. Listen from the common run of people's point. Being a common run of people, we do not have any of those intelligent to distinguish between the phenomena and attach to phenomena. As long as phenomena there, it is right to attach. Attach is not wrong, according to the common run of people. You seeing cup, you attach this is cup. What's wrong? Nothing wrong.
But it may not be a cup.
No, may not be a cup. That kind of all intelligent starts when these yogis tell us it could be like your dream of cup. Then, oh, maybe. At that time, this common run of people not really remain as a common run of people. Now this is switching, transforming. Now this people is transforming slowly, gradually into the yogi inside. Yeah, this is what it's saying, yogi inside. Now you're getting close to the reality. You doubt it now, right? You doubt it. This is not exist as I think before. You doubt it yourself. When you start doubting, that doubt is actually brings you closer to the reality. And before we get some tips from these yogis, I will never going to think attaching to this cup as I am seeing it. It's nothing wrong. It's nothing wrong. Instead, I'm right. I can attach to this cup because I see cup.
Is it more that before there is just an acceptance? There's no thinking about what is clinging or what is attachment. I'm thinking out loud. But before, there is no thinking about what is attachment and what is, or what is real.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't have that intellect. We don't have that intelligence to distinguish between what we see and what we attaching. To differ or to distinguish that what we seeing, and then we should not attach the what we seeing.
Yeah, because there's nothing
we don't have this concept. Now this yogi giving us these tips so we can raise doubt to ourselves. Maybe I should not grasp as I'm seeing it. Yeah, because the tips they give us like a dream. Dream, I'm seeing it, but there's nothing for me to grasp. I am okay with this. I accept this. Even from the common run of people's point of view, we accept this. If the real things during the daytime, what I'm seeing right now, it could be possible like my dream. If I raise this little doubt, that is now bringing me to the closer to the reality, to understand and to distinguish between the phenomena and attaching to the phenomena. That kind of idea we do not have before we get tips from them. Before we get tips from them, we never doubt, even raise. Even we dreaming, we understand what I seeing in a dream, I cannot really grasp. I understand. But that understanding doesn't helping me to understand that these things that which I am seeing right now, same way I should not grasp. That dream doesn't helping me anything. And when someone saying in a dream how you not grasp, same way, how about if you not grasp to what you're seeing it?
No, I think ordinary people in their dream state do grasp to their dreams.
Huh?
I think I feel that ordinary people, not myself, when we dream so vividly that we grasp even in our dreams.
At that time, yes, at that time. But when we wake, then we understand this is just a dream. But yeah, it's still grasp. This is maybe some sign for me to do this, do that. Anyway, just dream. It is fake. It is false. It is vain. Mirage is false. What we perceive, we cannot grasp because it is false. Likewise, what I am seeing this cup right now, it may also could possible that same as how I'm seeing in a dream. Even that doubt, if we raise, that doubt brings us to get closer to the reality. So anyhow, this is where this is how the Shantideva here confuting to the common run of people that what you're perceiving, it's like a dream. There are some examples that Shantideva can use to introduce that what we are seeing as similar as that. And when he say it is like a dream mirage, and we may say immediately, then why I have to work hard? Why I have to do things? If everything is like a dream, then why I'm working here? Why I'm taking care of my family? Why I'm eating lunch, breakfast, and everything? So eating lunch, breakfast, taking care of family, finding job and working, and then spiritual training, meditating, and so on, all this. It's not saying these are not mirage, but it's still within this mirage can produce mirage like a fruition, which mirage like a self experiencing. So for that purpose, you should still engage into these jobs without a sense of attachment now. This is the point. And that's how confuting Shantideva to the view, confuting the views of common run of people. This then is the subject of debate where ordinary and yogi differs. Right? It differs. So with this now, this 1.5 stanza, Shantideva actually confuting the common run of people's way of viewing phenomena, and then also avoiding debate that which brings common run of peoples. If that's the case, we may no need to practice. We may no need to do anything. And that's not the case. And mirage like fruition is exist. Mirage like a self is exist. And that mirage like a self and mirage like fruition, when this mirage like fruition comes to the mirage like a self, it becomes either pleasant or unpleasant. That's why still you need to do something. And that will not going to stop until you stop that grasping. When you ceased your grasping, and mirage like a fruition will going to cease too. Then, yes, you're free. You don't have to work. Till that, as long as you have this dualistic mind, grasping to this mirage, till then, and this all fruition like mirage can produce. So anyway, so that's how confuting and avoiding the common run of people's view, confuting common run of people's view, and then avoiding their debate. Okay. So now this is main purpose is to develop the wisdom. Huh? Yeah. Okay, so now we do dedication. Oh, then next week that sorry that actually it's already planned that we were going to continue this teaching, but somehow I need to do some important things. So we have to cancel the next weekend's our teachings. So next weekend we will not have teaching. And then the next weekend we are going to start. So now dedicate of beneficial activity. Sonam de tamje sibani tomne nye bendanam tamje ne shegananchi walam chubai sibin zolendo ando vashu jambal bawen jidara kembana kundu sambo de ande jinde Eda kunje jesu nalobji gewan de da tamje rabdomo gewan de yeshe okun sanam yeshe tsozone Sanam yeshe lechungwe tamba kunyin tobrashu sanje kusum nyebe chinlamdan chunye mingyur dembe chinlamdan gendin mechen dembe chinlamdi jidramo melam drubarshu. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemies, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all being tossed about helplessly by the waves of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyan, and in the same way as Samindabhadra, Kundusambro, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all being perfectly achieve the accumulation of merit, Swanam, and wisdom, Yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from this true accumulation. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sangye, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmadha, Chenyi, by the blessing of the infallible aspiration of the Sangha, Hindu, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Okay, thank you. Ah.